Ready, AV team?
15 years ago, a bold vision took flight. A vision to empower, uplift, and ignite middle managers. True force behind every success story. The bridge between strategy and execution. The heartbeat of every thriving organization. The leaders who turn ideas into reality. Year after year, we built more than skills. We built confidence. We built powerful connections. We sparked a movement. 15 years of leadership in action. 15 years of resilience, innovation, and unstoppable growth. Today, we celebrate the journey and the leaders who made it possible. We celebrate you, the future of leadership. The Middle Managers Leadership Conference, 15 years of impact, empowering leaders, transforming organizations.
I invite you all to stand at this time as we sing the national anthem, prepare for the playing of the national anthem. You may be seated. Honorable Fievel Williams, MP, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Bishop Dwight Fletcher, founder and senior pastor of the Transformed Life Church, Mr. Donovan Chensi, of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Pernod Charles Sr., if he's here, former Minister of Labor, we're expecting him, and Dr. Enlem Morgan, I haven't seen them yet, but we would like to prepare to welcome them. Dr. Jacqueline Coke-Lloyd, convener and managing director of Make Your Mark Consultants. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all participants, both here in our special meeting hall as well as those online. Those online, we welcome you. Welcome to Make Your Marks Consultants 15th Annual Middle Managers Leadership Conference. I've been saying it all morning. There's a 15th anniversary under the theme, A Legacy of Change, Transformation, and Execution. And as you will know, we've said it more than once, that Make Your Mark Consultants was created to provide world-class business and people development services locally, regionally, and internationally. And we're very delighted that your organization has identified you to participate this year as a first-timer, as well as to return to partner with us. And we hope that this experience will be meaningful to you as we prepare you to be champions of change, champions to foster adaptability and to drive strategic initiatives. Of course, we could not have had a conference experience this year or any other year without our sponsors. And so before anything else, I would like to acknowledge all our sponsors. And you'll see the list in your program. I'm going to make mention of them here. The Make Your Mark Group, the Main Event Entertainment Group, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Stewart's Automotive Group, Supply County, Yasso Fitness, the Essentials Nail Salon, the Jamaica Observer, Mystic Mountain, Princess Hotel and Resorts, Digicel Business, Digicel Foundation, the Jamaica Public Service Company, Visual Tech Solutions, Mona Graphic Printers, and Nationwide News Network. We'd like you to put your hands together and thank our sponsors. We could not have done it without them, and we're going to be highlighting them later on. At this time, I'm going to invite the Bishop, Dwight Fletcher, to bring the blessing for today's proceedings.
Good morning. All right, let's say that again. Good morning. Yeah, man, a better response. It has been my pleasure over these many years to open the Make Your Mark conference, and this, their 15th year, I again want to congratulate Jacqueline Coke-Lloyd and her team for putting on this conference. I've sat with Dr. Coke-Lloyd, and putting on a conference of this nature with this level of excellence year after year is not an easy feat. It comes with a lot of struggles and trials, and I am thankful. I see this conference as a nation-building conference, and I want to just take a few moments and just congratulate by giving a clap to Jacqueline Coke-Lloyd and the Make Your Mark team. Really important and really well done. Let's pray. Father, we refer to you as Father because you're our creator. And we find our existence in you, Lord. We live, we move, we breathe because of you. And we express our love and gratitude for your boundless kindness towards us. Every morning brings a renewal of your mercies, Lord, and it constantly reminds us each morning of your faithfulness. Father, we express our gratitude for the Make Your Mark group and their profound dedication to empower leaders across this nation and the Caribbean, possibly even the world. Father, we recognize that this is vital for the growth of our society. And under the leadership of Jacqueline Coke-Lloyd, this remarkable team consistently showcases the best practices of leadership and management from across the world. Thank you, Lord, that the growth and consistency of this conference is testimony of their excellence and influence. Father, we pray in the name of Jesus for a flawless day, flawless execution. We bless each presenter, Lord. May they leave their mark on each participant. May each presentation and activity create profound impact, add value by creating valuable insights. I pray, Lord, that these 2 days will accelerate and elevate everyone involved, paving the way, Lord, for future growth and networking. I pray that this conference will be a transformative experience for each participant. Grant those present physically and those online fresh perspective, innovative ideas, and courageous hearts. Lord, you tell us in your word that the heavens belong to the Lord, but the earth he has given to mankind. So Lord, may we increase in our capacity to steward what is under our authority. May this conference be the catalyst of growth and transformation for the companies from which the participants come. Empower them to lead with wisdom and integrity, compassion. In Jesus' name. If you're in agreement with me, just say amen.
Amen, amen, amen. So this time we're going to invite Dr. Cook Lloyd, special convener, to bring opening remarks, followed by Mr. Donovan Chensi, bringing greetings from the business sector, Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce. So Dr. Cook Lloyd and then Mr. Chensi.
Challenge the possible to create the impossible. Somebody said to me, shouldn't it be the other way around? I said, you know what? Most of us believe that either things are impossible or possible. And we believe that things that you think are possible, you need to challenge them. How do we become innovative? Challenge the possible. Yeah, we're comfortable with the possible. Challenge that, and that's where things come and change.
15 years ago, one woman dared to dream. A dream rooted in purpose and possibility, to build a company that would not only inspire excellence, but reshape how leadership is practiced across the Caribbean. That bold vision gave birth to Make Your Mark Consultants, a brand that has become a beacon of growth, resilience, and transformation. Today, MYMC is more than a training company. We are architects of change, champions of people, and builders of legacy.
Make Your Mark Consultants is driven by a purpose. If you look at our tagline, is it up there? Yes. Your purpose or passion. What it means is that the purpose of the organization and the individual purpose is what we strive to help you to achieve. So that we spend a lot of time on. So you're here because your organization needs help. You're here because you also need some assistance. And we want to help you, we want to learn from you, and we want to share it throughout Jamaica.
For over a decade and a half, we've equipped middle managers, emerging leaders, and executives throughout Jamaica and the Caribbean with the skills to lead with confidence, clarity, and conviction.
But the actual execution of a change strategy requires your middle managers. Why? Because your middle managers are the best teachers in your organization.
Through high-impact seminars, customized leadership programs, executive coaching, and world-class conferences, we have transformed the way leadership is learned, lived, and passed on. Over the years, we've walked alongside thousands of professionals on their journey to become better leaders, not just for their organizations, but for their families, communities, and countries. At the heart of that journey is Dr. Jacqueline Cole, or JCL as many affectionately call her, a trusted strategist, author, mentor, and one of the most respected voices in Caribbean leadership development. Through her books, The A to Z of Leading a Professional Life and the Middle Manager's Leadership Development Guidebook, she has given leaders a roadmap to intentional living and sustainable success. One of MYMC's most impactful contributions has been the creation of the Middle Managers Leadership Conference.
Having this event as the 13th staging of the Middle Managers Conference is an incredible legacy.
And one thing that these conferences do for us is that it disturbs our inertia, our tendency to go in the same direction at the same speed that we're traveling.
And so, again, as you delve into these discussions and the workshops, I want to encourage you to do so. The mindset that is open, the spirit of collaboration, and one where this conference will leave a mark on you that allows you to leave here as a better manager.
Now celebrating its remarkable 15th anniversary, what started as a gathering of a few passionate professionals has grown into the region's premier leadership development experience. Each year, hundreds gather to connect, learn, and be transformed by some of the most influential voices in business, governance, and thought leadership.
Like the rest of life, for all times, there is uncertainty. It is in this uncertainty which opportunity dwells. Middle managers are caught between those who are policymakers and strategists, determining how things should be run, and those in line staff who are tasked with actually doing the job.
And don't be afraid to face them, because that is how you're really going to.
The visits I have and the discussions I have, it is our middle management that sets the tone of our organizations, that translates the strategy into action.
I'm making the point to suggest that if we're not prepared to adjust our modus operandi, if we're not prepared to say how else can we get these things done, we are going to be left behind.
This year, we proudly celebrate a legacy of change, transformation, and execution. It's more than a theme. It's a reflection of our journey and a declaration of our future. Change is where it begins. Transformation is how it evolves. Execution is where the legacy lives. MMC 2025 is shaping up to be our most powerful gathering yet, with a dynamic speaker lineup, thought-provoking panels, interactive leadership labs, and networking that turns connections into collaboration. Yet, our work doesn't stop there. Whether online or in person, every session is built to turn insight into action and deliver lasting results. What drives us is not just our programs, it's our people, the clients, partners, and participants who have trusted us with their growth. Their stories of breakthroughs, promotions, renewed purpose, and restored confidence are the heartbeat of everything. So here we are, 15 years later. We look back with pride and we look ahead with purpose, because a legacy of change, transformation, and execution is just the beginning. We're building something bigger than us. We're building a future, and we want you to be a part of it. Celebrate with us, grow with us, lead with us. Together, let's keep making our mark.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here. 15 years. 15 years. When I look back, I say, wow, 15 years. It has been good. It has been good. Lots of challenges, but I wouldn't do it any other way. I'd like to thank all my platform speakers today for many reasons. Bishop has been with us for the 15 years. He blesses us every year, and sir, I'd like to say thank you. He has never said no, we don't have to ask twice, and I believe that it is God who has brought us to where we are today, and I give him all the praise and the thanks. I'd also like to thank our minister, who never says no once she's available. And for me, that is a mark of respect, not only for nation building, but just to say the kind of person that she is. And I'm so happy that she has been elevated to the position of Minister of Finance and the Public Service. And I know she will chart the course well for this country. So thank you again, Minister. And Donovan, thank you so much. The Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, we believe in inclusion and ensuring that the other side of the island is always included. So thank you so much for coming. So it is my pleasure to welcome you to this truly special occasion, our 15th anniversary of the Middle Managers Leadership Conference, and equally the 15th anniversary of Make Your Mark Consultants. People thought I was crazy. How could you do a conference in your first year within 4 months of starting? But that's how it is. We believe that things are possible. Things are possible. So 15 years ago, we planted a bold idea that leadership in the Caribbean could be nurtured, elevated, and transformed. That seed grew into Make Your Mark Consultants, and out of that vision, this very conference was born. At Make Your Mark, our vision and purpose has been clear from the beginning: to make systematic changes. to assist our clients in meeting and exceeding their full potential by helping them make systematic changes in areas they have identified as important. We are here to help the individuals and the organizations and their products and services to stand out from the rest. We're committed to helping young professionals realize their true potential and to keep our solutions simple and informative, useful throughout the partnership. I must say that I believe in young people, and most of you here ought to believe in them because you should be training young people so that you can move to another level. Some of you are young, but you should be looking at those below you to prepare them to take your space so you can be elevated and you can be transformed. We believe that this conference, year after year, we bring in young people because this is how they learn. When I see them 10 and 20 years later, they remind me, I was a part of your camp, I was a part of your this. Just these 2 days transforms the lives of so many. So we believe in young people. Today we proudly reflect on how far we have come because MYMC has trained over 30,000 middle managers across Jamaica and the Caribbean and beyond. We have worked closely with the private and public sector organizations, partnering with them to unleash the leadership potential of their people. But this year's theme, a legacy of change, transformation, and execution, is not just a reflection of where we have been. It's a bold declaration of who we are and what we will continue to do. Over these 15 years, we have changed the narrative around middle management, redefining it as a powerful strategic role, and that you are. We have transformed how leaders lead, emphasizing emotional intelligence, resilience, and adaptability. And we have executed with excellence year after year, building a reputation for quality, trust, and innovation. We don't want you just to come and see it as a conference. We want you to see it as an example of execution. And it's time, it is people, it's resources, it's dedication, it's the sweat and tears, it's about the highs and the lows, and that's what leadership is. That's what middle management is. You guys are in the middle, you're the hub, and everything is around that axis. So it's not clean and pretty, but you get the things done. We've witnessed careers take flight, leaders step boldly into their calling, and organizations shift direction and strategy because of the sparks ignited right here in this very room. Middle managers are the unsung heroes of every successful organization. You are the strategic doers, the ones who translate ideas into action and the glue that binds teams together. You're the ones who execute vision, drive performance, manage change, and hold organizations steady during both the smooth and the stormy seasons. I'll stop to acknowledge Honorable Pernell Charles Sr. Sir, you might wonder why we have asked you here, but Pernell Charles Sr. was our first speaker in 2010 when we started. And he graciously agreed to open our conference when nobody believed in us, but he did. Thank you, sir, for coming, and we appreciate it, sir. And your son has followed you very well. Thank you. As we mark this double milestone, we must pause and express our deepest gratitude, first and foremost, to the God Almighty, who has been our source, our inspiration, and our strength. Without him, none of this would have been possible. To our sponsors and partners, especially those who have been with us since the very beginning. Intelligent Multimedia, Andrew is right here in front of me. Thank you, Andrew. You believed in it even when nobody else did. JPS, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Visual Tech Solutions. I see Mark is over there. They believed in us when nobody did. Caledonia Outdoor Advertising and Monographic Printers. So many others have come on board, but these were foundation and they believed in the vision. So your unwavering support has fueled our journey and helped us make an enduring impact. We also thank the organizations who understand the value of investing in their people, especially middle managers. Your belief in the power of leadership development ensures that organizations not only survive but thrive. So I'd like to stop here just for a minute for you to understand that you're not here just because your company wants to get you out of the office for 2 days. They're investing in you and they've spent money on you. And it's very important that you be grateful. A lot of organizations don't do this. Gratitude is a must. And you must understand why you're here and what you're going to go, when you go back, what you're going to do with what you've learned, and be very thankful to those who have sent you. Always say thanks. It doesn't matter what it is. To our facilitators, we have shared their expertise, energy, and wisdom across the years. In particular, we honor 3 of our very best, our first presenters. Is Henley here yet? Henley and Robert Winter, I think they're somewhere in the room. And of course, the Honorable Pernell Charles, who opened with us. To the Make Your Mark Consultants team, your passion, innovation, and tireless commitment continues to set us apart. And let me let you know that it is a team who has produced everything that you see here today. All our graphics, all our videos, everything, our young team. So I say thanks to that incredible team that we have. And for each of you who are here, you're here, as I said, for a reason. It's not by chance. You're here for a reason. Just note that and see what do I do for the next 2 days. I'd also like to say a personal thank you to my family. Many of them are online, for your unwavering support, encouragement, and belief in me, especially at times when others thought I was crazy. Yeah, people thought I was crazy. I remember the first conference, a manager from an organization said to me, "Who are middle managers? What are you talking about? There's no such thing. What are you doing? You're crazy. You're bound to fail." But of course, the Lord, somebody else speaks to me. Especially at times when others thought I was, having kept grounded, it had given me the courage to keep moving forward. So I'd like to say thanks to my family, because they have been my rock. And today we look back with pride, but more importantly, we look forward with purpose and with hope. At Make Your Mark Consultants, we are ready to walk with you, partner with you, and equip you for the future. So today, let us celebrate this incredible milestone. Let us connect, learn, and challenge ourselves. Let us recommit to leading with courage, transforming with vision, and executing with excellence. As we celebrate our 15th anniversary Managers Leadership Conference, we also celebrate the world's only Middle Managers Conference, a gathering that continues to shape the future of leadership in the Caribbean and beyond. And to my JCF friends, I'm wearing black not because we have a problem with JCF, but because it is our uniform. But JCF, we support you for those who are here. Thank you so much. Have a good 2 days.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, Minister Favor Williams, Honorable Sandra Husbands, Dr. Jacqueline Cook Lloyd, and team. Ladies and gentlemen, the remarkable middle managers here, of course, corporate leaders, and esteemed colleagues. It is truly a privilege to bring greetings on behalf of the very hard-working directors and members of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, led by the hard-working Mr. Jason Russell. It is also a great pleasure and honor to celebrate a significant milestone with an organization that has made such a tremendous mark to our country. This is not just a celebration of time past. It is a celebration of lives impacted, leaders shaped, and a nation being transformed. The theme of this year's conference, Legacy of Change, Transformation, and Execution, could not be more fitting, not just for this occasion, but for the times that we're living in. For many years, we have watched a consistent wave of talented middle managers migrate overseas in search of growth, opportunity, and stability. These include some of our most capable minds, some of our most diligent workers, some of our most strategic thinkers. But today, the message is different. Today, we can say with great confidence that Jamaica is the place to be. Jamaica is no longer just a land of potential. We're a land of unfolding opportunity. Our economy is stabilizing, investments are rising, and innovation is blooming in sectors ranging from logistics and tourism to technology and agriculture. New businesses are taking root, and existing ones are expanding. With all of this comes a clear and urgent need. The need for experienced, execution-driven, values-based leaders. These are the leaders that this conference seeks to empower. Now is the time to come home. Now is the time, not just in a physical sense, but in a way that speaks to purpose. The realigning of your professional journey with your roots, your identity, and your country's future. Jamaica now needs all its citizens no more than ever. We need your international perspective. We need your experience managing people. We need your intelligence to help our country thrive and move forward. At the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, we believe in building the business environment where leaders like you are empowered and valued. We are confident that Jamaica has the talent, the ambition, and now the infrastructure to support a world-class business ecosystem. We encourage all our middle managers today to embrace this moment, to lead boldly and execute with intention. Thank you very much for having us, and congratulations to Make Your Mark consultants on the 15th annual Middle Management Leadership Conference. A job well done, Dr. Jacqueline Koch, and to your team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chinsey. Thank you, Dr. Coke-Lloyd. And at this time, we progress our program. Welcome, former Minister, the Honorable Pernell Charles. As we continue our program, we now graciously welcome the Honorable Minister Favour Williams, MP, to address us at this time. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you so much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Good morning, everyone. And I know in Jamaica we are a praying people, and so I will say God is good all the time. He woke us up this morning, amen. Clothed us in our right minds, gave us journeying mercies, and here we are. God is good. So let me acknowledge Dr. Patrick Sterling, our Master of Ceremonies this morning. Thank you so much for being here and taking us through this program. Let me acknowledge as well Bishop Dwight Fletcher, reminding us that the earth has been given to mankind for us to make our mark. I want to acknowledge former Minister Pernell Charles, Sr., an enduring name in Jamaican politics. Thank you for your decades of service and sacrifice to Jamaica. Of course, this morning, the person who brought us all here, Mrs. Jacqueline Lloyd Koch, Managing Director of the Make Your Mark Group. I want you to give her a round of applause, a round of encouragement, an applause for being bold. I am sure she did not start on day one, 15 years ago, with a banquet hall full of people. She built year after year, and now we're seeing the full manifestation. People matter. Middle managers are the energy that gets things done. I heard her say middle managers are 30,000 strong here in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. You move your companies along. Mr. Donovan Chensi, Director, Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I understand as well in our midst is Mr. Ainsley Powell, Commissioner General, Tax Administration, Jamaica. We have titans of industry here as well, Mr. Jeffrey Hall, CEO, Pan Jamaica Group and Chairman Kingston Wharves. And we have Mr. Al Edwards, CEO, Our Today. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and happy Tuesday. It is a pleasure to join you today as we celebrate a major milestone, the 15th anniversary of the Middle Managers Leadership Conference, hosted by the visionary team at the Make Your Mark Group. So first, allow me to offer my heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Jacqueline Lloyd Koch and the entire team at Make Your Mark Group for the unwavering commitment, bold vision, and of course, the execution we are witnessing today. To build, grow, and sustain an event of this caliber for 15 years is no small feat. It speaks not only to your excellence, but also to the increasing demand for the empowerment and development of Jamaica's middle managers. Indeed, the Middle Managers Conference has earned its place as the premier management conference here in Jamaica. And I heard the convener say it's one of the only conferences of its kind anywhere in the world, and that deserves another round of applause. This conference is truly making its mark, and in so doing, it's helping to strengthen the very backbone of organizations across this country and the region. The theme you have this year, a legacy of change, transformation, and execution, could not be more timely nor more important. It reminds us that leadership is not about titles or offices or positions, it's about action. The courage to move when others hesitate. It's about vision, the ability to see beyond today's challenges and into tomorrow's possibilities. But most importantly, it's about influence, the ability to inspire people to believe in a cause greater than themselves, to push past limits, to build institutions that will stand the test of time. True leadership is the shaping of cultures, the transformation of teams, and the bold drive towards national development. It is the consistent demonstration of values, authenticity, and strategic focus that leaves behind a real legacy, one not written in resumes, but in lives changed, organizations built, and futures secured. I know that you know that titles may grant authority, but only influence, grounded in service, discipline, and integrity, build the trust that moves countries like Jamaica ahead. So at the very heart of this conference, And at the heart of every great middle manager's journey lies this truth. Real leadership is earned daily through service, through resilience, through courage, and through the discipline to execute with excellence. In today's increasingly dynamic global trade environment, Jamaica's agility, or ability to move swiftly, decisively, and strategically is essential for national success. And at the execution level, it is you, it is our middle managers who drive that success. You're the ones ensuring that vision becomes reality, solving problems, coaching teams, delivering results, and adapting to change with confidence and clarity. In a Jamaica that is growing steadily stronger, with sound leadership, prudent economic management, historic low unemployment rates, a transparent inflation targeting regime, real investments in education, infrastructure, and innovation, it is clear that as a country, we are on the right path. Our responsibility is to continue to build our country in a world that has become more uncertain. We have the talent here in Jamaica. We have the ideas. There's a world that wants to touch, feel, taste our culture, that wants to do business with us. That is why the work of conferences like this one is so critical. Over these 2 days, this conference will equip you with the tools, the strategies, and the mindset to lead with distinction, not only managing, but inspiring, executing, transforming. You, over these 2 days, will explore what it means to be a servant leader, leading with humility, authenticity, and a deep commitment to service above self. You will discuss the actions and attitudes that mark true leadership and how these behaviors drive organizational growth, innovation, and resilience. When Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness addressed this conference in 2011, while serving as Minister of Education and Youth, he said, "You are the ones with the knowledge. You are the ones who actually have the experience of doing. Organizations should try as best as possible to secure our middle managers because they are the ones who will affect change strategies." And these words are even more powerful today as we all, as Jamaica, boldly navigates an increasingly complex global economy. As Minister of Finance and the Public Service, I see every day how important strong leadership is to sustaining the progress we've made in stabilizing our economy, attracting investments, and opening new opportunities for our people. And so I urge you today, take advantage of these 2 days, engage with the discussions, learn from the experts, sharpen your skills, strengthen your networks, and leave here not only as better managers, but as stronger leaders for Jamaica's continued growth and transformation. So congratulations once again, Dr. Jacqueline Coke-Lloyd and the Make Your Mark group. Thank you for investing in people. Thank you for helping to shape a Jamaica that is more resilient, more innovative, and more prepared for the future. To all of you who are attending, I wish you a productive, empowering, and inspiring conference. Let us all continue to make our mark and continue to move Jamaica in the right direction together. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Williams. Profound words, guys. Profound words throughout. And based on what would have been said already, you now realize that you have walked into the path of a great legacy. And many of you would have been preparing for this conference for a few weeks. Many of you would have traveled from very far to join us. And it's so profound, again, that you're here and that the takeaways will be extraordinary for you. So I want to welcome you. And those who joined us after we started, I want to welcome you especially. And again, as we said at the beginning, we're highlighting the essence of connectivity through networking. Doesn't matter how far away you are in this auditorium, we are going to be networking. Seek the opportunity. There is a prize for networking. I'm going to ask our operators in multimedia to stand by because we want to reach out and for the participants online to say good morning to you. So when you're ready, let me know for the participants online because we have quite a number of our participants online. I want to remember them as well and connect them into the 2 days of engagement. Now, as we continue our program, we're going to be sharing with you a number of housekeeping matters to help you to have a more enriching experience. But let me give you the information. You have some of the information already in your packet. Keep your printed program and all of the information with you, and also there are leaflets with information on your table as well. So we spoke about the conference program and the agenda. And you can also access the digital version that has more details and information on speaker profiles by scanning the QR code on your table tent card. So look at your table tent cards and you'll see the QR code there. You can scan that and chock full of information will be available. Oh yes, the online people are here. The online people are here. Can we have them again? I'm going to ask them all, thank you very much, Dr. Cooklad, to say good morning to you, and you're going to say good morning to them back. Can you all open your mics online? All the mics are muted. Look at all the mics are muted. Could you all open your mics, everyone, online? Open them up and say good morning. I'm going to count 3 so we can say it in chorus. So open your mics. I see the mics still muted. If your mics work, open them. If you're not able to open the camera because you want to manage your bandwidth, but open the mics. And we're going to count 3, and they're going to all say, good morning, middle managers. And you must say, good morning, middle managers online. Are you ready now? The mics look muted. All these mics look muted. We can unmute them from this side? Okay, so if you're, okay, so that we manage time. I hope they're hearing me. Okay, if you're able to unmute your mics, I hope you can. Could you kindly unmute and we count 3 and let's hear you say good morning. Are we able to hear them if they say good morning? Yes, thumbs up. I'm going to count 3. 1, 2, 3. Online?
Good morning.
Good morning. And you must now say good morning. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, middle managers.
Good morning, middle managers.
Your name's been called now. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Whoa. So profound. It's the first time in the 15 years we're having this kind of outlay where we can say good morning across the way. So very good. And I encourage our online participants also to network. You can network, and later on we'll invite questions as well from you to our presenters as we keep you all connected. All right, thank you for that. So exciting. So we want to remind you, before we get into our panel discussion, that all events begin on time and end on time or before the scheduled time. So we are trying to ensure that we keep it in good order. And you can help us, colleagues, by being punctual for all the sessions and activities. We ask you graciously for your full attention during the sessions and would not want you to be distracted or to distract others. We therefore ask you to place your cell phones on silent or vibrate. We know that some of persons are still actively engaged with work, working remotely, and there is the need for you to keep connected to answer questions and otherwise. And if you have to take a question or to be part of any other meeting, I hope not, but if you have to, we ask you to graciously take it outside so that we do not disturb the others at our table. For those online, we ask you to keep your comments and questions in the chat, short and professional, so we're able to manage all of that. For security purposes, colleagues, we encourage you to wear your name badge at all times. Not only security, but as part of networking, we want to be able to call you by name. So keep it outwards so others can see. Now, very important, I hope you're all listening to this part. And we know we have to recognize our presenters, and they're having a photo moment. But listen to this message now. If you have any special, listen to my choice of words, any special dietary concern, not preference, dietary concern, or dietary need, I should say, please graciously, quietly, speak to the front desk. The same place you registered, just say to them, I don't eat X, and I would prefer X, but please make the list short, because we don't have a lot of options. So if there's a dietary need, not a preference, please let it be known early. The presentations and handouts will be added to a Dropbox and emailed to us all on May 16, 2025. So after the speakers have presented, you will likely have questions. We ask you to note your questions on the forms provided, the question form at your table, and give it to one of the MYMC representatives, or you're free to use one of the microphones so conspicuously placed in the audience for your convenience. There's also a challenge form where you can let us know if you have any challenge. The Middle Managers Network form, the evaluation form to be completed at the end of the day, so you can give us your feedback. In fact, I should let you know that this conference has evolved over many years from feedback received from those who have participated. And we use the feedback given to us on the forms provided. So we ask you likewise to help us with your feedback so we can make the conference better in the 16th year and the years subsequently. Online forms and polls will be shared with Zoom participants at various points during the conference. Also want to let you know that as part of our networking engagement, we're going to invite you to connect with the Make Your Mark platform. So there are persons who might not be familiar with the Make Your Mark platform. I'm going to ask you now to take 1 minute and look for Make Your Mark consultants. Please do that now. Just ask you kindly so we can get that connection on your favorite platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X, or TikTok. 1 minute. Look for Make Your Mark. Then we ask you to follow. Friend, connect. Connect and subscribe. Could you do that now, please? And we invite those online so to do as well. Make Your Mark consultants on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. and quite a bit of information is involved there. And I should also let you know that the annual conference would be the culmination of a number of other activities, including our periodic training seminars, of which I'm sure many of you would have been part of. Also want to emphasize that there is going to be a prize for the person with the most business cards, yes, at the end of day 2. And also, not only business cards, because some people do not have business cards, but persons who would have made the most contacts with other participants. And there is a prize for you, a grand prize of a weekend for 2 at, you hear that? Princess Hotels and Resorts. So there is value in networking. Or there is value that can be taken away in networking. We also invite you to visit the table at the back, our booth. There are books there that you can purchase, and we'll talk more about that later on. So at this time, we are preparing for our panel discussion to come up. Let me just ensure that I've mentioned everything. Oh, lunch service will be at your table. So you will not need to leave the room to go for lunch anywhere. The hotel staff will set your cutlery in place right where you are, and lunch will be served right where you are. 2 more bits of information. The restrooms are outside right, both for male and female. And a little bit of very important housekeeping, not in your booklet, but I need to say it. And you're going to just listen to me now. Very important. Ready? Ready? For safety, just in case anything, there'll be nothing really, because Bishop has prayed at the place already. Thank you, Bishop, as you take your leave. We appreciate you, sir. Just in case there's any emergency, guys, let's be responsible. Identify where the exits are. We have 3 exits marked. Take your time now and look where they are. Look at the closest exit near to you. And I didn't say run to the exit. I say note where the exits are. And let's be mindful of care and courtesy in the event, in the unlikely event of an emergency. Okay? And we want to be very orderly in managing ourselves in case there is an emergency. Okay? So much of that. The other thing is that we have a large number of giveaways. We would like to ensure that everyone, or as many persons as possible, leave here with something. So, as a courtesy, I encourage us that if you get one already, let somebody else get another one. All right? We want to make sure that we connect that way. Again, I want to thank all our sponsors. We mentioned them earlier, and I just want to mention them again. For those who just arrived, just want to mention our sponsors. They have been very good to us, and without them, we would not have been able to have this conference. I want to just mention the sponsors again, and we'll put our hands together as we prepare to have our panel discussion. Make Your Mark Group, Main Event Entertainment Group, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Stewart's Automotive Group, Supply County, Yoso Fitness, I hope I pronounced that name right, The Essential Nail Salon, Jamaica Observer, Mystic Mountain, Princess Hotel and Resorts, Digicel Business, Digicel Foundation, Jamaica Public Service Company, Visual Tech Solutions, Monographic Printers, and last but not least, Nationwide News Network. Let's put our hands together and thank our sponsors once again for making this possible. I am pleased to introduce the moderator for the next segment, Mr. Al Edwards, CEO of or today, an experienced media professional who has held a number of senior positions at some of Jamaica's leading media companies, serving both locally and internationally. And we invite him now. You'll see more of him in your program or through your QR code. Mr. Ale Edwards, we invite you now, sir, to take the podium. Let's put our hands together as welcome Mr. Edwards.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Before we get into things, I'd just like to say this is the 15th iteration of the Middle Managers Conference. And I can remember it's in its earlier years, and I think Jackie Lloyd-Coke has done a fantastic job. She stayed with it, she's built the brand. Right now, we have the topical issue of Chinese mechanics doing well. But here we're seeing the same thing at work. Discipline, professionalism, delivering what you said you were going to deliver, and more importantly, building the brand. Jackie's done all that, and I think she deserves a warm round of applause. Absolutely fantastic. I think the topic, a legacy of change, transformation, and execution, is rather apropos at this time. We're seeing it in our lives, both here in Jamaica, across the world. We now see that transformation is taking place at a rapid pace right now, across all segments. And I think we have three people who can speak to that, and three people who are distinguished in their respective fields. Today we have with us Jeffrey Hall, CEO of Panjam Group, someone I've known very well over the years. Jeffrey started out doing law. He's at Harvard University. He's fond of economics. He came home. He's been on the board of the Bank of Jamaica, JAMPRO, all before 30 years of age. He was part of the Caribbean Investment Fund, did a fantastic job there with Dr. Nigel Clark. He then went into Jamaica Producers and transformed it. Jamaica Producers was known mainly for bananas and such forth. That's a legacy of an older economic model we had here in Jamaica. But he transformed that institution, managing to look at exporting across Europe, Central America, different markets. Incredible job. Running Kingston Walls. He is now running the Pan Jamaica Group and doing a good job with that as well. He is a stellar senior executive, a man who delivers. Next we have Ainsley Powell. I've got to say this. When Clive Nicholas stepped away from tax administration in Jamaica, everyone said, oh, who could fill his shoes? Well, Ainsley certainly filled his shoes. There's no question about that. He's gone on to do a remarkable job. Talking of transformation, he's embraced the digital age, and he makes the point that now 80% of the revenues are online. So he was able to pivot to a more digital model, which is really of the times as we kind of get into the first quarter of a new century. Absolutely fantastic job. For his efforts, 35 years in the public sector, he was awarded the CD. Very well deserved, I'd say. And we have with us online Sandra Husbands, who's in the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Training in Barbados. Now note this, training and tertiary education is vital. She's not just a Minister of Education. Training and tertiary education. The way she sees it is that you've got to really calibrate your curriculum to industries of the time. She makes the point that Barbados has a population of 270,000 people. So by 2015, at least the majority of the population probably might be over 60, and that's going to be a burden on the state. So you have to be able to pivot. You've got to have not just high employment, but people who are employed with skills of the age. And she's dedicated to that. So that's really where the aim, she wants to drive an efficient Barbados with skilled and trained people in the right slots. So you don't have people with just low income, same industries, but they can pivot. And your citizenry is not a burden to the state, but help the state because they are trained individuals. But before we get into it, how we'll do this is each presenter will give a 10-minute presentation, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions and answers. But before we start, we have the former Minister of Labour. We all know him. We all love Colonel Charles, senior, I must say, but not just senior in age and experience, but someone who has been at the vanguard of labor relations for many, many years in Jamaica and knows the importance of productivity and transformation. So we're going to listen firstly to the former minister, Colonel Charles Sr., and then we will start our presentations. We'll start firstly with Jeffrey, then with Mr. Powell, and then with Minister Husbands from Barbados. Thank you very much. So we'll now hear from our Colonel Charles Sr. Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You know about me. My topic is, I'm a troublemaker. Everybody says that. So they retire me and send me home at 89. And this morning I hit the ball past my colleague because I do an hour and a half tennis every morning except Saturday and Sunday. So come the 1st of September, I will start on my 90th year. And somebody want to know why. I tell you, I can't recall ever sleep for 8 hours one time. I don't know which doctor produced that you must sleep for 8 hours. I have never, not even when I was sick. That's not what I want to talk to you about. I want to challenge middle managers. I have been sitting at home and I have a daughter who is very out of order. She told the police if they see me driving on the road, pull me over and call her to come for me. However, can I just see the hand of those who are middle managers? Put up your hand. Managers. Right. I want to talk to you for a few minutes. Who is it that tell you and I and him that there is a thing called an 8-hour workday and they pay you for that? Where do we get that from? We inherit it. Well, let's do something new. I want to challenge you to go and think about something new. I live at the foot of Red Hills. And when I leave Pegasus at 4:30, I reach the foot of Red Hills at 7:15. If I leave Pegasus at 6:30, I reach Red Hills at 7:30. Why? Bumper to bumper, 10 miles an hour. And I went home and said, but I've been a trade unionist all my life. I've been representing workers all my life. And they put me in politics. And I continue. So I want to ask young managers to think about something. One, the amount of cars on the road, you spend up to 2 hours driving back and forth. Why? Because everybody is driving one time. So I said to myself, let's create a new management structure. Let's create a new hourly work. Let's increase production that increase wages. Because if you talk about increasing production without wages, you're not getting anywhere. So I said, all right, Mr. Charles, what do you mean by that? Suppose I said to you, a young manager, tell the workers we're not touching their salary as it is. But we want you to come to work at 7 o'clock instead of 8. Because when you leave your house to reach work at 8, you're not reaching till 9:30 because of the traffic. So, if I divide the work into 7 to 2 and 2 to 7, I get 2 workforce. It's only 1 or 2 people clap. That means only them one here. Remember, we're not touching your salary. And if you have to do more, you have to get increased pay for increased production. So if we cut the present time for working, into 2 workforce, we increase employment. We increase production. And we increase salary. Maybe it is stupid, but this stupidity happens to you when you sit down now, do nothing. You're thinking. So I'm asking you, clean it up. Think about it. Nobody will lose any present salary. Any increase in your present work, you must get increased pay for that. So, Mr. Chairman, you increase salary, you increase production, and some managers say, nah, pay you no more. Rubbish. It is pay that is the incentive. So you stop it on what it is at that salary, and you increase pay for the additional production. And you see the amount of production you get. I have it, but you have to pay me if I get it. No, a joke. But I would talk to you how to increase production and how to save time. And when you have bumper to bumper now that keep you on the road for 2 hours and 5,000 cars down the Marcus Garvey Drive to come on the road, you won't reach work and you won't reach home. So therefore, think about my division. Let's talk about it. I am no genius in it. There are some young managers here who can take what I'm saying and say, Mr. Charles, if you put it this way, it might sound better. But do not drop, I use the word drop, the man's salary, no. Do not increase production and keep him the same. Waste of time. So your challenge is increase production, increase salary. You lower time, but you increase production, you increase salary. And you want to help the President Prime Minister, then you will see that the economy gone up. So that is what I said to my friend. What better group to talk about other than middle management? That see people sit down all day on this nonsense called telephone. Everybody have a telephone, spending half time at workforce, except where management do it. So, what I really ask for, I repeat, do we have to work 8 hours and we reach work 1 hour late and we have to leave work 1 hour early to reach home? So we work like 4.5 or 5 hours. When we can divide the day and fix it in such a way that we increase production, we increase workforce, and we do well for our country. So please think about it. And if it is stupid, put it away. But if it makes sense, clean it up and make sense with it. Thank you very much.
Well said, Mr. Charles. Increasing productivity, very important for the growth of the country. It was remiss of me. Minister Husbands will be joining us online on the screen, so she'll be joining us from Barbados. So Jeffrey, as they say, your time at the wicket.
All right, Al Edwards, you put me to go after a seasoned campaigner like Honorable Colonel Charles Sr. No, I am. Middle managers, welcome again. So today on your panel you have people who come from different systems. People who come from the government, the tax system. People who represent the system of education in the case of Barbados. My world, the world that I occupy professionally, is in the listed company space. So in Jamaica, which is actually fairly unique, we have 106 listed companies on the stock exchange. Anybody here work for a listed company? Okay, let me tell you about it then. Tell you 3 things about it. The first thing is it's like a reality TV show or a video game. Every quarter, you have to produce your results. And if you don't perform, you get kicked off the island. Or at least there's a reasonable chance that you get kicked off the island. Because it's a very results-driven, transparent space. So the nature of the beast is that at some point, particularly if you're at the top of the house, there's a chance that you'll make a mistake and self-destruct and have to leave the game. Now, I just want to take a moment on the second point to authenticate myself a little bit. It's a little bit self-absorbed, but forgive me. Of the 106 companies that are listed on the stock exchange today, there's only one of them for whom the CEO has been doing it longer than me. So I'm the second longest person who's been doing this quarter after quarter after quarter. It would probably be better for you to listen to the guy who is the longest serving, but he's not here today, so you have to listen to me. Okay? So I started this game in 2007. And Jamaica Producers, which is a company with which I associate that role, even though I have a number of roles today, has essentially allowed me to maintain my position because we've been able to deliver reasonable commercial results. We compound our net worth, our shareholders' equity, round about 15% a year since I've been doing this. So if you look back, say, the last 10 years, our net worth was at around 6 billion, now it's 36 billion, and we have to keep pushing. So as this enterprise has gotten bigger, and more recently, as Al will tell you, we took on board a merger with Pan Jam and created a Pan Jamaica group. And so this enterprise now has about 920 million US of total assets. And those assets effectively operate with about somewhere, depending on how you count it, about 18 different businesses. So the third observation, the first being the video game, the second being my authentication, and reason for speaking to you, and the third observation is that there is no way that those enterprises could operate without on the ground, in the business, day in and day out leadership. And that, for me, is that's the name that I give to the word that is used here today, middle managers. I call them leaders, because those are the people who really run the businesses that I'm associated with. And I mentioned that there are about 18, so each business on average has about $50 million of assets that somebody's worrying about. But there are some big ones, and then there are some small ones. There's some that are in Jamaica, in St. Mary, growing bananas in a labor-intensive way that Honorable Colonel Charles knows a lot about because he used to negotiate on behalf of those people. And there's some businesses that are in the richest economies on the face of the earth in, say, the Netherlands or Spain or Belgium that we operate. There are businesses that are capital intensive, like Kingston Wharves, where you have cranes and berths and warehouses and trucks and stackers. There are businesses that are in the service enterprise. There's real estate, hotels, shopping centers, financial institutions. And so as this enterprise became big and hairy, and I knew that at the end of the day, what matters are what I call leaders, and what we are calling here today middle managers, I made an effort to write down a set of principles that cut across every single enterprise that I've been associated with, and the principles that I would see being applied to the leaders that I call middle managers, or the middle managers that I call leaders. So I'm going to put it on the screen and just flash it in front of you, and then make an opportunity to discuss them. So I need to figure out how this clicker works. All right. This one. Interesting. So I'm not going to take you through it because I don't know what my time is. But what I bothered to do was to identify a set of principles that any person who sees themselves as a leader, and that doesn't mean that the person who drives the truck isn't a leader, because this is about your career, and in that space, you're the owner. Are those minutes or seconds? Okay, good. So we've distilled the principles into three big themes. These are principles of leadership that I have seen work in my life that I advocate for you, for your life. I've given them labels. Big principle number one is ownership. I'll tell you what that means. Big principle number 2 is realism. Big principle number 3 is connectedness. So we'll take them in turn, if we can get the clicker to work. We seem to have two, there we go. So I wrote it to the organization as a whole. And the fourth thing that I didn't, so there's leadership, realism, and connectedness, and the fourth one is preparation. And that's the one that we're obviously not working on today. So is there somebody who can manage this for me? And I say click, you click. All right. So here's the actual physical document that I share with, we have over 3,000 team members. And I'm going to try very quickly, in the time remaining, to share it with you. So the first big theme, as I mentioned, is ownership. And ownership for me is about, you go to the next slide, and you can take a look at them, and I'm just going to whiz through them. They're available to you. I'll make them available if necessary. But ownership for me is about painting a picture. And every middle manager here present, I'm advocating that you identify a space in which to paint a picture, to project forward. Now, if you just project incrementally, something that you're going to do Monday morning, people will say that's trivial, okay? And if you project forward 20 years and you envision SpaceX, they say, well, that's fantasy. So it's about identifying a space and a set of goals that are somewhere in between those two bands, the band of fantasy and the band of incrementalism. For me, it's about 3 years. So it's very important, in my view, as a leader, to identify some very specific, measurable goals that project forward. And those goals paint a big picture with a high degree of resolution. If you haven't done this in your career or in your organization, this is the moment. But underpin that big picture with some very specific steps. And the specific steps can be relatively small. I won't bore you with how the P&L works, but if you have a business with $100 of revenues and it's making $10 of profits, if you can cut costs by 5%, you can increase your profits by 50%. So those small initiatives that you need to document for yourselves are important. I'm going to pick up the pace now. In the concept of ownership that I put forward for leaders, yourself included. Next slide. Setting that goal is critical, but bringing people along with you is absolutely essential. And so setting the goal is one thing, that North Star, articulating it, quantifying it, that's critical. But in our view, figuring out how you carry with you customers, how you carry with you suppliers, how you carry the board with you, how you carry the bank with you. And in my view, the way to do that is documented here, but I will emphasize a strong and principled approach, meaning ethical. It will carry you long and far. Somebody mentioned the word sustainability. And the second thing I emphasize is a human approach. We want owners who are authentic. And we believe that you have to challenge yourselves not to be a machine, but to be and project a principled leadership. Next slide. The second one is realism. Next slide. For me, realism, once you've set big goals, is about measuring performance day in and day out. Next slide. With KPIs that are quantifiable. And that's the principle that I've been able to use for success, and to measure the costs of what you do against a return target. The third principle, so you set big goals, you adopt a sense of realism about measuring performance in detail, in financial detail. We can talk about this in the Q&A. And then, and this is the one thing I want to emphasize to you as leaders, the principle of connectedness. And for me, that principle, next slide, has two elements that I want to emphasize. Element number one is a duty to take ownership and responsibility for your own education as a leader. You're all here today, so there's some evidence that you've bought into that principle already. But it's important to measure yourself against a global standard and ask yourself, what do you need to do to be more qualified, to be more capable, and to own that process and advocate for it for yourself? And in that process, and I call it be worldly, you can see it there, also understand how to communicate. Next slide. How to disagree in the forms that you operate without being disagreeable. How to clarify objectives and goals with the people with whom you work. So, what I want to say to you today is that I believe that there are a set of principles. You can come up with your own, but it's a set of principles, in my view, that objectively you can adopt today to position yourself as a leader. And it's important to do that regardless of your position. And somewhere among those principles, in my experience, is a concerted effort to paint a picture, to set a very precise, high resolution, lots of pixels goal. And that goal needs to be quantified, and it needs to be projected forward to that space that is beyond incremental, but not fantasy either. You've got to do this for yourselves. Identify that goal, and then make the effort to communicate that vision to the stakeholders around you, at least quarterly. To all of the stakeholders, you've got to share your goal, and it takes risk. Underpin it with a sense of realism, with measurable KPIs, and then learn the tools of communication. That's my advice to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. What has to be borne in mind here is that Jeffrey presides over two institutions, two big companies that have an international footprint. Jamaica Producers, the Pan Jam Group. They've merged. He employs thousands of people, but he's able to distill the message, condense it, and he has to carry that message across the entire organization, which is a big organization. So that tells you basically what his abilities are as a leader. I think he really broke it down well. Our next presenter is the Commissioner of Tax Administration in Jamaica, Mr. Ainsley Powell. Mr. Powell?
Dr. Cook-Lloyd, let me just say thanks for inviting me and TAJ to be a part of this event. Mr. Charles, good to see you again. And this one? Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope I will be able to share some of the TAJ's journey and the issues that we faced and how we had actually approached them. Now, I'm not sure. The slide is not up, but we are basically a semi-autonomous authority, and we basically embarked on that journey in 2011. There was an interim approach to it where we had another TAJ under the Revenue Administration Act, where we had brought 4 entities together. The Tax Audit and Assessment Department, the Tax Administration Services Division, the Inland Revenue Services Division, and we ended up into a full body called Tax Administration Jamaica. Oh, there's a lag, sorry. All right. All right. The whole question of the journey was that we actually had an appointment date, and we had some key things that we had actually looked at, and that was in 2014 we became legally enforced, and we started on that journey. In 2015, there was another turning point where we had to implement our new Revenue Administration Information System. And that name is evident of some of the transformation that we went through. It actually is a software called Gentax by a company called Fast out of the USA. But when the team, having worked on it to customize it for our use in Jamaica, they gave it that name. In 2018, we started to focus on some of our infrastructure for customer service ease and, of course, for staff comfort. And we started with the Falmouth office. That was one of the first offices to come on stream. In 2020, we continued to streamline our governance structure. We needed to operate more efficiently as a headquarter, and we moved to the round building, as a lot of persons know it, on East Street, or the income tax building, but its proper name is the Donald Sangster building at 116 East Street. In 2021, we embarked on a journey to standardize our operations by being certified under the ISO program. And we have continued on that path, and we are currently looking to bring more offices. We have 4 certified offices now: the Constant Spring, the Spanish Town, Mapen, and Falmouth offices are all certified ISO 9001 offices. And of course, with that foundation, we are looking to see how best we can go forward in TAJ. The operational side, we had looked at getting our taxpayer engagement up and the standardization of our services, public awareness campaign, the certification, as I mentioned earlier. We introduced queue management systems within the organization, and we looked at capacity building, and we partnered with key public and private sector organizations to get feedback as to how we should really carry out our role. And you must remember that this is against the background when we were trying to meet a lot of the IMF programs and to get the revenue in as much as possible. In fact, we had found ourselves tanked at 97% of target every year, and we needed to break that and to move to at least 100 or more, which we eventually did. We looked at having a digital transformation of the space, so we wanted e-service options or website, online, tax mobile apps. And you might not know some persons, but there is a mobile app available on the Android system. We haven't forgotten the iPhone users, but by this year end, we should have that in place. Right? We wanted to expand our suite of e-services, so we looked at online filing. And that had required us to have persons, filing online. We took them on board over 3 years rather than just a cutoff. And we also looked at online payment. And we looked at digital partnership, digital communication channels, and digital roadmap. We had to come up with a new organizational structure, and what we put in place was the structure that would allow us to constantly review what is happening in the environment. And so we are constantly looking at our structure to see what we need to do, where we need to make changes, bring in new functions, take out old ones, or transform functions. We had to re-engineer our business processes, and in doing that, we ended up looking at everything from top to bottom. We had to build out our legal support services, and we looked at getting our technical advisory teams on board to provide advice not just to the organization but to the public. So if you have any experience with us, you'll know that we have a team of technical technical advisors that will help with any tax issues that you have. So persons can write in to ask, how would you deal with an issue, and they would give you a response. Now, the roadmap for us was that we had a review of our as-is and state, and we looked at what we had before, inside out. We had the help of IBM and other consultants, and out of that we came up with a projected future state. And we developed that on two concepts. We wanted to be risk-based, and we wanted to be customer-centric. And to be risk-based, we knew we needed to transform our ICT platforms, our taxpayer accounts, and information services. So what we have now is a system that allows us to look at a taxpayer across multiple functions. So you can pull customs, you can pull PAYE, you can pull other data that we get through third-party information, and we can do a profile to properly risk taxpayers to determine if A, they should be registered, B, if they should be audited, C, if they should be asked to come in and make changes, etc. So that was one of the things that we did. We had a transition plan, and we said we were going to move from manual to digital. And we also had to deal with the transition from central government to a semi-autonomous authority. To transform the leadership, we looked at how we wanted our executive to function. And we looked at our next level, and we refer to them as the senior leadership team. And we built out that core group, what the roles and function of that group, how it relates to the executive, how would we delegate authorities and responsibilities throughout the organization. Because we are at 30-odd locations, and we knew that would be a challenge. How do we get standardization through that process? We had to motivate the employees because the change wasn't easy, because it meant that, especially at the top, because you were bringing 4 entities together, not all your previous middle managers would still be employed in that level or capacity. And, so we had some separations taking place. We had persons not happy necessarily where they would have landed. So we had to rebuild all of that to get this type of synergy that we needed in the organization. So we have an employee relation team that did a very good job at coming up with rods and recognition. How do we recognize persons? We refer to it as our wow moments and our annual ceremony for rewards for performance. We did a lot in leadership training, coaching development, weekly executive meetings, senior leadership team. We had quarterly performance where we looked at what was happening and how we can improve, which we still do. We had management retreats just to make sure that persons kept abreast and how we can make things better. And we also set up project committees that would look at charting new waters and new courses. The engaged team in TAJ, we had staff development committee, talent management, KRAs and work plans and performance evaluation reports. All of that, we had those integrated and having them running smoothly, that persons could see the corporate vision, mission, the strategic focus, etc., right down to the desk. Because that was important for persons to see themselves in the final output. We tried then to improve internal communications, because in the early transformational phase, anytime you had any unrest or hint of unrest, it's usually the fail point is communication. So we had to develop that. If nothing is happening, we would let persons know. If something was happening, we would let them know. If we were barely moving, we would let them know. And as I mentioned earlier, we set up the employees relation unit that has the role of just keeping things going. So I have run out of time, but I think I've covered basically what we did. And I just want to leave you to something that you can relate to where we're thinking of going with our digital transformation. I think most persons in here will have a driver's license, and what we are thinking of doing, and you may like it, is that you have a digital picture in the database. You send a digital picture for a renewal. It runs across all the platforms to look at any tickets outstanding, any suspension, etc. And it approves for a renewal. And you get an e-driver's license. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. It just shows you the magnitude of the task at hand. We all know for sure there are only two certain things, death and taxes. But the thing about it is, with taxes is, as Mr. Ainsley Powell just outlined, he has to transform an entire organization and make sure he gets it right. Because if he gets your tax wrong, there are going to be howls of complaints. Everyone's going to get upset. But he's the person who has to make sure his organization and his entire team gets it right. What gets done gets measured. The same thing that Jeffrey talked about earlier. Our next presenter will be Ms. Sandra Husbands, who is in the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Training, and she will be joining us from Barbados. Minister, are you with us?
Yes, I am, and good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much, Mr. Edwards. I want to acknowledge my other co-presenters, Mr. Jeffrey Hall and Mr. Ainsley Powell. Thank you for setting a wonderful stage for this discussion. And a special big hello to Dr. Jackie Coke Lloyd. I want to congratulate you on the excellent work that you have been doing and its impact on Jamaica. And good morning to all of the attendees. I want to congratulate you for your progress in your careers thus far. Now, this morning, I am going to be sharing briefly with you a little of my own journey and challenging you to be able to engage in the effective management of your own journey to greatness. Let me put it that way, to greatness. The issue of leadership is not easy. And the reason for that is that leadership asks you every day, every single day, it asks you, who are you? Everything that you face, everything that you experience, this is coming from out of, that is challenging everything in you. It asks you, who are you? And you have to be able to answer that. And so what will keep you grounded as you seek to inspire, as Mr. Hall was sharing, as you seek to do step-by-step implementation of whatever strategy your organization is asking for, as you seek to continue your own personal development, at the center of it is the effective management of the cycle of your potential. So that's what I want to share with you this morning. I hope you can see the screen. The cycle of potential tells us a few things. Because your potential operates on a cycle, which means it has inherent power within itself to keep duplicating itself. Each step of a cycle, when managed well, will lead to the emergence of the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and it will keep fueling itself all the way through until you die. And that is why ensuring that you understand it and use it well is important to your life's success. So let's just get into what are some of the steps of that cycle. The first thing in your cycle is stepping out. And this goes back to what was being shared by Mr. Hall, that you aspire to something, there's a vision, there's some place you want to get to. Do you know what it looks like? Do you have the courage to actually make that step? This is the challenge. One of the things that I had to learn in my journey is that when you've had success at a lower level, you want to stay there because it's comfortable, it feels good, and you don't want to engage fear and uncertainty by stepping higher. But if you're going to continue to grow, it is important that constantly you are moving to higher levels, that there's a step out for you. Now, in order to succeed in your step out, you have to engage what I call cash. Everything that you want to do in life has a knowledge component, an attitudinal component, a skills component, and a habit component. And habits are where the success will be. Mastering the knowledge, the attitudes, and skills will give you the combination of actions that will form habits, and the habits are what will get you to your goal. Everything you want in life has a cash component. If you want to learn to ride a bicycle, there's a cash component. There's knowledge, there are attitudes, there are skills, there are habits. If you want to raise a family, if you want to transform your organization, if you want to go on a trip, if you want to go out and buy shoes, whatever you want to do has a specific combination of cash required in order to master it. Knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits, and they must be consistent with what you are trying to achieve. That's why managing yourself and your habits and your behaviors and so on is absolutely critical. When you master effectively that combination, you will create an achievement, whatever it is. Passing an exam, balancing on your bicycle, introducing something new into your firm, building a home, building a family, raising a child, whatever it is you want, that achievement is there. And so you gain in your life because you've now produced through the combination of cash, you have been able to produce a specific achievement, whether that is, as in Mr. Powell's presentation, the different stages that have to be created in order to transform your organization. Achievement. When you achieve, the most natural thing occurs, celebration. That, yes, we've done it. Yes, we made it. That is probably one of the most addictive emotions that human beings experience. It is spontaneous on achievement, and it transforms the whole person as that sense of celebration flows through you or flows through your team. But the most important thing to know about celebration is it is addictive. Now, in human life, we have something that looks almost like it, and it's called fun. Fun can be addictive. Fun also has a good feeling. But the difference between celebration and fun is that celebration comes from achieving something and growing. Fun is a de-stressor. It is to give you a mental break. It gives you mental refreshing, but it does not create a result or an achievement. And because the human spirit is addicted to that feeling of celebration, if a person is not growing, they will use fun as a substitute. And so you will know if the high point of their life, the high point of the weekend, the high point of the last year was something that was fun, and not celebration, you will know that that person is operating on the wrong fuel and that person is not growing. Now, here's your challenge. If that person is in your organization and is a member of your team, they can't take you anywhere. Every day you'll be telling them the same thing. Every day you'll be dealing with the same issues. Every day you're going to be coaching around the same issue because that person is not yet on a path of their own personal growth. That is why, as a leader, you not only have to manage the cycle in yourself, you have to be constantly checking and ensuring that your team, they are on their own journey of development, their own journey of growth in terms of the cycle of their potential. And this is where coaching and training matters very much. The more of your team who are on this cycle, the better the performance of the department, the easier the achievements for the department, and the greater success you will have as a person, as an individual. And you can't sidestep this. Many leaders, what they do is they substitute personal involvement, doing the job of that person in order to get the result, but you'll only exhaust yourself and the company will not have grown because it does not have capacity to carry big things. So celebration is important. Celebration makes you feel good. It makes you feel good and it refreshes you for the journey forward. When you feel good about yourself, it builds your confidence. And when your confidence is built, you will want to step out again. If you ever watch children, when they master something and they celebrate and they feel good, mommy, I want to do it again. Mommy, no, let me do this. Because they think they can now do anything. Because what has happened is their confidence has been built. And the same thing happens in your team. Once you build their confidence, they will be willing to step out. So when you share that big vision, when you share that transformation of the department, they're not overwhelmed by it because they have behind them a series of experiences that says, I can do it. We can do this. And that is why it's important for you to manage their cycle. And when that confidence is high, people want to step out again. So this cycle keeps feeding itself. It keeps feeding itself. And your role as a leader is to manage your own first, because you cannot help your team if you don't understand how it feels. You won't recognize when they're going through various stages of building their cash, and therefore you will be unable to be helpful to them on the journey. You'll be unable to help them to connect what they're experiencing in the cash with the overall goal. So this is why it's important for you to be on it, but don't leave them behind. Make sure that you as a leader, you work together with your HR and your other supervisors in your department to make sure that your people are on their cycle of potential and just keep watering it at every stage. The role of the leader at each stage, I've shared with you what happens to you and some of the things that you need to do for your team. But there's a role for the leader at every step of this cycle. Step out, you need to share that vision. Knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits, coaching, training, information. Achievement, monitoring, evaluation, feedback. Celebrating, you are their biggest team leader. You are the biggest fan that they have. And you make sure that you recognize it and do whatever it takes to celebrate it. When they feel good about themselves, what you're doing, you are affirming them during that process. You're patting them on the back. Well done. So proud of you. You have grown, and be able to say back to them your observation of their growth. And when their confidence is built, you're right there with what the next step is going to be. You have work to do. And I want to support you and encourage you to take this journey seriously. Manage your own and help your team to manage its cycle of potential. And you will see tremendous growth in your organization, but more importantly, tremendous growth in yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Husbands. That was very important, the cycle of potential, which hinges on knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits to become better managers and to bring greater productivity to your organization. Very important. We're about to enter our question and answer segment. Do identify yourselves, keep your questions short, and make your questions pertinent. I'm going to start off by asking the presenters about their personal do's and don'ts. So, Mr. Powell, what are your personal do's and don'ts? And what mistakes are there to avoid? And do you have any regrets? Mistakes to avoid? And do you have any regrets looking back over your career? Yes,
yeah, okay.
Can you hear Mr. Powell?
Well, let me start with the do. I try to focus on, the team process in doing things. I think that's a big part of getting things done. And if you really want to get a pool of ideas and have them worked through, because it's not going to take any one person to get some of the things delivered. You have to build that synergy, and you have to let them be confident that you really respect their positions. And so, I try to do that. So in the don'ts, I try not to be overbearing. I try to not to be the center of everything, because it becomes disruptive, and those are just some of the general things that I try to operate by.
Jeffrey?
My do would be, as I said, to set goals. I really encourage that, and set those goals with in a measurable frame. My don't would be around being personal or petty or political in an organization. I think it's important to be professional, look at the substance, look at the organizational goals in the way that you communicate, the way you build alliances.
Any mistakes one should avoid, look to avoid?
I think a mistake would be to not take responsibility for your own self-development. I think a mistake would be to leave it in the hands of the organization entirely and not to set your own program for development. I think waiting at your desk for the promotion, waiting at your desk for recognition, waiting at your desk for someone else to identify a training program would be a mistake. I think you're going to have to take some ownership.
Minister Husbands, your do's and don'ts?
Thank you. I would say one of my first do's really is seeking first to understand my personality and the different personalities around me. A mistake many leaders make is projecting onto others their own personality needs and how they like to perform. And therefore, they judge people from that lens. So I've always tried to make sure I understand the personalities around me, how they're motivated, when they are demotivated, so that I can understand what I need to do as a leader. One of the things that I don't do, and I had to learn this, is when you see someone not performing, don't assume that you know why. You might link it to, oh, I had to speak to them last week and that's why they're doing this. oh, that person doesn't care about their job, their whatever. I have found that as a leader, what has always been important is to talk with that person to understand what it is. Sometimes they butt upon a challenge on the job, an obstacle that needs removing. Sometimes something is happening to them at a personal level, and this is affecting them. Sometimes, and especially in the Caribbean, this is a big problem. They may be coming into conflict with a person or persons, or they may have been misreading you, misreading what you're saying and what you're doing. And because we are a relationship culture, as soon as the relationship is not as warm as people would like it, or people tend to freeze and stop because they become paralyzed when there are poor relationships around them. So one of the things that I've learned not to do is to assume I know why someone is not performing, but to take the time as a leader, or if the relationship between us is not the best, then I find someone who can speak with them to uncover what is going on so that I can then as a leader step up and do what I need to do to help them rectify the situation that they can function again. And I've found that those two things have been useful to me in terms of a do and a don't in my professional life.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Charles, do's and don'ts. You're going to pass? Okay, we're going to open up the floor to some questions now. Anybody has a question? Can you come to the microphone, identify yourself? Surely someone has a question, come on.
Good morning. I'm Antoinette Anderson. I wanted to ask Minister Husbands. So I listened to your presentation just to know, and in speaking about the potential cycle, I wonder how would you be able to cope in a situation where you have a large team. So I know that it's important to understand where they are in the cycle, but how do you manage understanding when the team is very large, so we know the dynamic is very vast?
Excellent question. You have to operate on two levels. The first thing, your HR is going to be a critical ally in helping you to deal with this. It means that if you have a large team, you have to identify either junior supervisors or team leaders within the group who will help you work towards managing your team. And therefore, you get your HR to help you provide them with some additional training, and you provide them with a vision of what you want. The second thing is you have to be able to identify what are the natural pairings going on. Who are the people who sit together, talk with each other, they get along, they have a relationship. So you start to create like a buddy pattern where they're buddying each other. You keep them on target by constantly inspiring the group as to where we're going. Once you have a critical mass within your group, so say your group is 150 people, and you have within that group 20 people who are fired up and ready to go, and they are dispersed throughout your 150. They become your best and greatest allies. Keeping them fed and nurtured and informed, they will help to stir the others around you. And you make sure you sustain all of that by getting your HR to help you with sessions and so on that keep the team motivated, keep them trained, keep monitoring them. You then have to train a number of people to do that one-on-one coaching. So you will need to have some people who will sit with them and talk them through where they are. So those are just some of the things that you can do that you can help you to manage a large team. You need some team leaders or some additional supervisors beneath you that you're working with and working through in order to reach and manage your team. And sorry, the last thing, once you do that well and you build a culture, people don't like to drift too far from the culture that is established. So you will need to make sure as you build your culture, people will more easily come onto the platform. You have to build that culture. And that happens by setting up that structure I'm talking about and constantly feeding them with information and inspiration and feedback.
Thank you, Minister. I've got a question, and this question is for Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell, you once said on March 15th, which is the due date for income tax, we used to have persons working up to 1, 2 in the morning to sort out cash payments received, and that was a big challenge for us. We would have to persons in the office up to 10 in the night doing filings and payments. We now close early and we finish at a regular time. Can you take me through that process of how you managed to turn into using digital methods and get the organization to buy in, and how you managed to present that to Jamaican taxpayers?
That process had required two things to happen in the space on March 15th. The returns had to be filed, and therefore the cashier had to enter certain information, at least 3 or 4 lines. And they had to process the payments. And a payment takes about 4 minutes, and the entry will take about another 4. So you think about that time span and a constant stream of persons flowing into the office. It would mean that that queue would definitely not move quickly. What we did, we looked at moving to online filing. We knew that we would have had some early innovators, and then it will stall off a typical marketing concept when you introduce new things. And we ask ourselves how we're going to get beyond that threshold, that chasm. And what we did, we put in place a lot of support. We had in the offices stations where persons could come in and get involved with the staff on how to do their filing process. And we didn't do it for all tax types at once. We did it with the GCT, then we did it with the income tax. And we eventually got persons to move to the online. The biggest challenge now is the online payment. And that was a little bit more difficult because persons had different reasons why they may not necessarily want to use an online payment. And we have done a lot in that by getting persons to move to the payments. Now, we had to get different platforms, and we were able to partner with the banks. We have banks that have on their platform tax payment portals that they use, and that helped a lot. We had it in the issues now where persons use the real-time gross settlement system, and they would not necessarily put the adequate information. So we had our team calling persons that we noticed that would have their payments without sufficient information month after month, and we just kept at it to coach and encourage them to use it properly. So we did that. We also moved some transactions online, and motor vehicle fitness is one that comes to mind. We moved our renewal of insurance online, motor vehicle license online, by validating the insurance data electronically. So it was about moving persons into that digital space, and we did it over time. It took us about 2 or 3 years to get 100% online filing, but we are pretty much there 100% now. In fact, we have closed down on the platform any manual input of returns. And then at the back office, we looked at the shift because we had a big tax data entry unit, And what we did was that we retrained and transformed those persons to deal with issues that would arise out of the online filing process. So that was essentially how we did it.
All right. Good morning, everyone. The question that you just read was very similar to mine, and so thank you so very much for your response.
Hello, good morning. So pleasant morning to our presenters, and our mid-managers. Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Martin Dockery, and I'm from Jamaica Tourist Board. My question is for Mr. Hall. You spoke about the importance of ownership, realism, and connectiveness. How do you coach emerging leaders to set measurable goals while still leading with authenticity and not just becoming machines for KPIs? Mr. Hall?
I'm not sure the mic is, okay, perfect. So thank you for the question. So we've documented the principles that we are trying to live by. And then what we try to do is cause the principles to come to life at a couple of different points in the work experience. One is on recruitment. So although businesses have a hierarchical structure, we have a philosophy that we want everybody to demonstrate some leadership. And so when recruiting people, we want people who have some of these traits, or at least have the aspiration to express these traits themselves. Then we try to document our goals and our expectations of people, and then we incorporate it into the appraisal process. Now, the expectation and hope is that people will self-appraise and people will tell themselves ex ante. The big thing, finally, is really giving people an opportunity to make mistakes, to course correct by way of expression, and to create a safe space for that. And that same safe space is important for the human and ethical elements, an appreciation that, you might have a rule book, which of course is obligatory, but then even within that framework, you've got to create space for reward and recognition that is not necessarily very strict for expression, for whistleblowing, and stand behind the people who exhibit those traits, and then hold them up. Minister Husband spoke about celebration, hold up those models of success.
You hear me? Okay. So this is not
Hello,
a question,
hello.
but to Mr. Powell, congratulations to you and your team at TAJ, and continue to make our life easier. Thank you very much.
Okay, this will be our last question. Go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I am Jordan Gibson Miller from Guardian Life Limited. I really want to thank each of the presenters, and what I actually really appreciated was that there was synergy amongst the presentations, especially with yours, Mr. Hall and Minister Husband, as well as from the transformation aspects of TAJ, Mr. Powell. So, kudos to each presenter. And I think my friend from JTB actually touched on my question, Mr. Hall. This one is for you. So the big, hairy, audacious goal is a concept that I'm familiar with. And, Minister Husbands, you mentioned the fact that you should also, to grow, you have to move and step out of that comfort zone. That's literally stage one of the cycle. However, I think, Mr. Hall, you touched on it here in terms of the ownership of what needs to be measured will be, in fact, done. And I think you said the fact that from the recruitment stage, it is very important that it is established what the expectations are and allowing persons to self-correct. But is there anything you'd like to add in terms of strategies of ensuring individuals take ownership of their own performance management, and it is not just something handed down to the next tier of leaders?
Thank you for the question. One of the things that is embedded in the document, which is longer than, or it's the same length that I shared all the pages, but one could go into more detail, is this idea of replicating yourself. And so the thing there is to look at your organization and your team that you lead as a manager, because everybody here is a manager of people, I assume, to some extent. And look within that team with an aspiration that somebody else will take your position. And so I need to do that from where I sit across the businesses that we have. And the act of identifying an expectation that somebody else will take your position forces you to listen a little bit more to the people around you, to respect them a little bit more, to have a little bit more confidence in them. And I think that expression is what emboldens people to set their goals. Because it's one thing to sort of have an expectation they'll set goals, but then you have to create the soil conditions for that to germinate and to grow. And so challenging yourself to listen, to respect, to get feedback. So in our businesses, which as I mentioned, it's a multinational, so we have businesses in, 10 countries. The leaders of the business, we meet them once a month, and we meet the person who would be the general manager who takes overall responsibility and the most senior financial person. And in that context, I want that conversation to not be about me telling them anything. It's about me listening and figuring out how I can support the success of their enterprise, of them. And that's the way that I think you move a team forward, is when you're interacting with them, the real question is how can you make them be the star?
Okay, we have the last question. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, good morning. Sorry, my name is Shirley Simila with the Princess Resort. This question is for Minister Husband. Looking at the circle of potential, it's really amazing, love it, and I'm really grateful to be here to have this experience. But looking at the catch, I am a middle manager, and I have a large team that I manage. And when I look at the cash, the knowledge is there, the skills are there. However, not everybody has the right attitude nor the habits. What would be your great advice to get them to a certain level where the attitude is matching up with the performance and their daily habits? Not here. Why need to speak it? Sorry, did you hear anything I said, Minister Husbands?
We have a technical issue here with the audio.
Do I need to repeat?
No.
I don't think she's hearing you at the moment.
No, I can hear.
Oh, you can?
My mic. Yes, okay, my mic is open now.
Okay,
Sorry,
she's
it
fine.
was locked off and I couldn't think. I did manage to catch, and I'll just repeat to make sure I've heard it correctly. You were saying that with regards to the cash, people come with knowledge, skills, but they don't have the attitudes and the habits that you require. And that is, I'll explain, with a large team, it is difficult. If you have a large team, this is where you have to speak to your HR, you have to speak to your manager to look at the structure, to allow the groups to be broken down a little bit more and give you team leaders and supervisors. But here's what needs to happen, whether it is the supervisor below you or you have a smaller team and everybody is around you. From day one, Mr. Hall spoke about it. When your selection process, you have to be able to select people for whom what you're doing is consistent with who they are. And that takes real skill in your recruitment process. The second thing, and this is something that we often do not do well, when we have new staff, our first thing is to put them to work, put them next to somebody or the other, and we're interested in getting them to do output right away. what happens is they are unable to learn the culture and attitudes that you want because they're being socialized by somebody who is far away from you. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Remember the 23rd Psalm. And it talks about thy rod and staff. That rod and staff, whenever you had a lamb that was unruly and was running away and not doing what it was supposed to do, the shepherd knew it was a problem. So what he would do is he would take the lamb and he would break its foot, bind it up, and then lift the lamb and put it on his neck. And that lamb was there for the 3-4 weeks until that foot heals. But what is happening during that process? He's hearing his shepherd's voice. He learns to feel the shepherd's emotions. He bonds with the shepherd. They say that when you take that lamb off of the shepherd's neck and put it down on the ground, it will not move from the shepherd's side. It is the same principle. When people come to the organization for the first time, you need to make sure that they're either with you or somebody that you trust that has the attitudes and values that you want them to have. Because when people come to an organization new, their gatekeepers are suspended. A lot of what they think or hold dear or whatever is in suspension because they're now trying to learn how to operate in the space. So that new person has to be up under somebody for those first 3 weeks or so who represent the attitude, the culture, the behaviors that you want to see. They're up under you. You are the person who helps them to know where to go to the bathroom, when lunch is, and so on. You are their salvation. They will be bonded to whoever helps integrate them in those first 3 to 4 weeks, regardless of what happens after that. You have to take advantage of that mental gate space and make sure they are with the right person and getting the right feeding at that time before you put them to work. You did without them for whatever time it took you to do your recruitment. You can do without them on the line for 3 weeks while you make sure that they're properly acclimatized. The other thing that helps people, human beings we're creatures of habit and we're easily influenced. See the ease with which we catch colds from each other. We also catch attitudes as well. And one of the things that you can do as a leader, you have to constantly see your people and let them know you are seeing them. I noticed that you did so and so and so today. That was excellent. This is in casual conversations, not having a great big meeting, casual conversation. You did well yesterday. I thought that question was a good question. What made you think of that? It is that kind of connection. What happens is they're bonding to you as they realize you see me. And once they realize that you see them and that you approve of them, they will continue to work for your approval by mimicking the behaviors and habits that you approve of. If you have a new friend, you can tell when people are friends. They gradually use each other's words and develop each other's habits. You're using that capacity for contagion in the human being. There's physical contagion, but there's emotional contagion. You're using it to help you build attitudes, and then you can lead them and they will practice better habits. Sorry that we don't have more time to really get into detail, but I'm hoping that that will be helpful to you.
Thank you very much, Minister Husbands. I think that was a rather productive and constructive session. Can we have a round of applause for our presenters? And that ends our session. Do enjoy the rest of the day and do enjoy the rest of the Middle Managers Conference. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much, Ainsley and the panel. Let's put our hands together again for the panel. I know it's almost time for break and the energies are waning, but crucial conversations, guys. Crucial conversation. Very timely, very calm, very focused. And for those of you who asked questions, thank you very much for being part of the engagement. Now we're going to go to break, but just a few things before we take the break decently. Remain in your places. Let me recognize Dr. Henley Morgan. He was acknowledged earlier, but was not in this space. So Dr. Morgan, would you just put up your hand or stand so we can recognize you? Dr. Morgan, one of the first presenters at our Middle Managers Conference 15 years ago. You were recognized, sir. Thank you very much. Put our hands together and welcome Dr. Morgan. And of course, as we had said earlier, part of our engagement and networking is to also acknowledge our participants by doing a giveaway, but we have to do it before we get into the actual coffee break. So I have a question. We have just about 4 giveaways. I have a question, and I'm going to give this question first extend this question to our online participants. So here's a question for an online participant to answer. Then I have a question for us here. So there's a presentation on TAJ, and it's a very simple question. In what year was the ISO certification achieved for TAJ? What year? Just tell me. Online, and guys, tell me quickly. Online, indicate quickly, the person online, and we can make the presentation. In what year was the ISO certification achieved for TAJ? Online persons, indicate quickly, and then you can send the answer up, and I'll tell you the name of the person, and we have the presentation.